We're in the middle of the first paragraph, as well, on page Ches. By the after the quote from the Frierdiker Rebbe, so where we are is the Maamre is discussing Lamata Mata and Tachlis, Taich, even as the Mata Mata retains all of its Ein Sof being, the Gilui, his Pashtus for Gilui, but the Ein Sof itself is invested in these spaces of Mata. And the Mata he described until now is the Mata of Elam Haza, just the fact that it's Elam Haza. And that was the last quote from the Frierdiker Rebbe, that Elocha Esel Mata She'eloi Mazalot HaMakabay V'Em Lekadel, and every blade of grass down here has a mazel that tells it to grow. And therefore the implication is, as Rebbe explained yesterday, the blade of grass already exists. It's not a question of his havas, that the grass should be, that the grass should grow, implying that the grass already exists. So the Hagbala of physicality already exists, of Hakshama already exists, and then the Ein Sof is mislabish into that Hakshama, and the Ein Sof itself has to be an discussion through the Mazalis to invest itself within the Hagdara, within the Hagbala of Gashmis Elam Hazah, so that this blade of grass grow. And now we began in Eisvav, the Rebbe says this Lamata Mata is Gashmis Elam Hazah, but it's all in the realm of Kedusha, or at least could become Kedusha, because no one rebelled yet. It's a blade of grass growing, it's just doing what it's supposed to. There's no rebellion yet. It comes in the next section where the Frierdiker brings the Raya from Parai, where now there's a rebellion. This is where we are. The quote from the Frierdiker was that Parai knew the truth, that the Nilus, which comes to greet him, is because Yaakov gave him the bracha. So he knows that truth. He knows there's a Gilui of Ein Sof, and yet still denies it. Kafir Tova. Denies that which is there. So there is a Gilui of Ein Sof. He's aware of where it's coming from, but still says, I made it. Now that explains what's the taich in this rebellion of Parai. Not just the hisavos, but even the chayus, right, of Ein Sof is the slavish into klipa, even after klipa exists, not just to create klipa. That's not the word of Oisud Gimel. Even the chayus of Ein Sof, even the life post hisavos, even once klipa already exists, but now that it should live, and whatever it has is also from Ein Sof. Says Hashem makes everything Machaya, live, not just Mishava, but Machaya itself. Ella, Shachaya, Misava, Misgashim, Shefeh, Derech, Galgalava, Mazalis, Achichalia is the Varahepich Melkus Mamish. It's only that the Chayas is so materialized over the length of the Ishtashlos, and especially by the last step, which is the Galgalava, Mazalis, to the point that it becomes materialized, and so much so that it can be machaya, that which is in opposition to Elokus. Moreover, even something that's in opposition to Elokus, it could be theoretically in such a way. He doesn't know that the life he's getting is from Ein Sof and rebels. Okay, so he denies the existence of Elokus to begin with. That's one level of denial. Denies Elokus. But denying the Elokus to begin with, that's not a Gilui of Mata and Tachlis, because there's no expression of Elokus at all. That's not the great Chidush here. Chiddush here is yes. This person is not such a kafir tova, or this entity is not such a kafir tova because it's not even aware of Holocaust to begin with. But yes, from the matam is that even a worse version. He knows where it comes from. He knows that this is a gilui of Eretz Yisrael. But nonetheless, still rebels. Because now he's not just denying the giver, actually acknowledging the giver. But in acknowledging the giver, he denies that it's coming from the giver. Denies Eretz Yisrael, even though he's aware of Eretz Yisrael. So there's a gilui of l'matamatat in tachlis, there's a gilui of Holocaust in his realm, and he says no. He says, I did it. This is why he brings the example of Parosh, because he was aware of where the bracha came from. He's aware that this is the Gilui of Eretz. He's aware that this bracha comes from Yaakov. But still, he denies the good, to retain his sense of self, not just to be independent, as was the case for all of Biyah, to remain independent. But actually to deny it and say, this is all me. It's all my doing. It's all me. Now, you've understand even more. The great descent that it is that Eretz and Sof is Nizgala, even within a realm that takes the very Gilui of Eretz and Sof and denies it. Even further, Rabbi's going to bring two sources now: one from the Mittler Rebbe and one from the Tzemach Tzedek. The Mittler Rebbe is going to tell us that the Gilui of the Gilui of the Nilus is not just a physical Gilui of Mitzrayim doing well, but this Gilui is actually a Gilui of Atzilus itself. Getting back to what he said at the beginning, the first Chiddush here, that the three elements Biyah are an equal levush to Atzilus, right? Because Eretz is established in otherness equally everywhere, even if it's a greater levush in Asiya than it is in Bria. It's not as if it has to go from Atzilus to Bria to Yitzira then to Asiya. Right? This was one of the first Chiddush, yeah? Right? So in line with that, the bracha of the Nilus itself is a bracha direct from Atzilus itself. That's going to be the word from the Mitzvah. And the word from Mitzvah is going to be that this bracha of the Nilus is not just that Mitzvah should be successful physically, but also spiritually as well. A sense of purpose, sense of connection to the Eibusher came through that bracha of Yaakov, and this too is kafir tova. Kafir tova not just for the physical bracha, but kafir tova for the fact that he has a spiritual identity. So let's see. So even by the case of good line, you will understand even more the great descent from this fact that the audience, if it's established, even something that denies its very effort, it's very what's the word? That which it provides. Based on that which the mitzvah is in Teres Chayim. There must be indication of sign Yom Paracholam. So this is the Bar Maskal. The Inyan Nilus, where describes what the Nilus is. Right? So he's talking about the dreams. This is before the Golos Mitzrayim. Right? This is while Yosef is still there. So it just describes the Nilus B'chlal. It's not necessarily describing the Baruch of Yaakov, but just B'chlal the Nilus, what the Nilus represents. This is why the Maimer adds this detail, which seems to be unnecessary, which is, what was the nature of Yaakov's bracha? What did he give him a bracha for? Baruch Shal and Isla that the Nilus should greet him. Even though seemingly to make the point that the Fidik was trying to make, it's unnecessary to say this point. If the point is simply that Parah got a bracha and denied the source of the bracha, then say that. Yaakov benched him and he denied the bracha. Parah was successful, Mitzrayim was successful thanks to Yosef, to Yaakov, and he's denying that. Why is it necessary to know that what's the bracha that the Nilus should greet him? And if it was rain should fall, be any different? Now we have the answer. Because the Nilus itself represents a Gilui of Atzilus.
No, this is more for him. The word is coming to him, makes him. The word is going up to him. We're just making it sign. The fact that the order goes up to him, that's one of the biggest things. He comes there.
So that explains why it's a great bracha. Just explain why Para is a greater kafar tova.
Yeah. Something directly to you is when I come, the order comes.
That's a greater bracha. Okay, maybe.
He sees it and he still denies it. More on a personal.
Yeah. Okay, maybe. Anyway, they were saying if the point is simply that he's denying the source of good, then Yaakov be the bracha. The time successful, he denies the bracha. Finished. And let's see here. The point that he's going to say is that the Nilos itself is a gil of Atzilus. So again, the Mitzvah is talking about Pari's dream. And in the dream it says that Pari is standing at the river. Which river? Nahar Nilos. This is the river of Nilos. Shahu, which this Nilos is, Hanar Harishim Nahar Sheyotzim Nar Sheyotzim Eid Lahashkas Azagan. But the Pasuk says, this is all quote by the way, direct quote from the Mittel Rebbe. The Rebbe could be skipping certain sections, but this is all direct from the Mittel Rebbe itself, from the word Dehine. So the Pasuk says that there's a river flows in Eden to give water to the garden, and then 4 rivers come out, and the first Shema Rishon, Shema Echad, Loshin is Pishon. The first one is Pishon. Shema Echad Pishon. Right? So the Mitzvah explains that the Nar, the Pasuk opens by saying that the Nar is Lahashkes Sagan, gives water to the garden, which means all the inyanim of the Garden of Eden, whatever lofty levels there are, they all get satiated from the waters of the Nar. So the Nar itself is a very lofty level because it can provide for Eden. Right? The Nar Eden Lahashkes Es Hagan. So Gan, at least, Gan, even there I think he says that even Eden itself. But certainly Gan receives its nourishment from this Nar. So this Nar is a very lofty level to be able to provide for Gan. Right? And then the first one is Nahar Pishon, which Rashi says there in the Pasuk, Pishon is Nilos. Rashi explains there why it's called Pishon. Pishon somehow describes the fact that the Nilos provides a lot of produce. So Shanar is and this is what the Pasuk says. That from that point, after the river emerges outside of the Gan, then it separates and it becomes into 4 heads, 4 different rivers. Shema Echad Pishon, the first one is Pishon. Right. So the 4 rivers where it says Misham Yipared, from there is separation. That's talking about Biyah. Right. It's or Misham Yipared. Here's division. Here's separation. But this Nar itself began in Atzilus, and in Atzilus it was Mashkia. It was Mashkia the Gan. It gave sustenance to the Gan. It's only from that point forward is Yipared separates from what it emerges outside of Atzilus. But the mitzvah condition Nar is Adayin Harikalu Misached v'Nar Sheitz Made Mamish. So this Nar Pishon, which is Nilus, which is the first of the 4, is completely Nisached. It's like that Lavush, that Lavush, in which Atzilus is directly Mislavish. So now this parenthesis is from the Rebbe. So that was comment on the Maamre from the Mitzvah Rebbe. I knew we need to say that even though all the 4 Nahars, as they emerge in 4 distinct rivers, are after the point of separation. It's outside Biyah. Because Pishon/Nilus is the first of them, it's still completely one as a recipient of the Nar that emerges directly from Eden. The Nar Zeh, which this river which comes out of Eden, was the one that provided for all the good trees that were in the Gan before it emerged outside the Gan, and the 2 of the Gan which were in the Gan. Therefore, we must say that this river, the river of Nilus, so this very river of Nilus is the river that emerged right from Atzilus. So it's the kind of river, it's the kind of Gilul Lakus that's able to provide for Gan Eden itself. And quote from the Mitzvah Rebbe. Now comes the Rebbe and says, applying this to the Fiddik of his Maamre, I'm moving from the Now we understand the great bracha of Yaakov to Paro, that the Nilus should come and greet him. Change the bracha stam. It's not just the bracha that Mitzrayim should be successful. And because the source of life for Paro, physically, for Mitzrayim happened to be Nilus, so he gave them a bracha in Nilus. But more than that, and the bracha Nilus b'yosef, this is a very lofty bracha. Tachlis bracha, the absolute height of bracha. That is to say, it's a gilu of order instead mata din tachlis. It's a gilu of a level of alakus. This bracha is coming from a level of alakus that's directly recipient of the order of atzilus. It's the mata din tachlis. That's the whole word.
You're saying it exactly.
Shewin Tainug Elim, which is the great lofty Tainug that came from atzilus, the nor that was inside of the Eden. Yeah, but sorry.
No, here it's exactly. It's saying the whole biggest nest.
That's not the nest. That's to say there is Midai, not the nest. The point here is Nilus, not that that it comes up towards him. The point is that there's a Nilus here, and the Nilus is a direct recipient of Matzilus itself. The fact that it came up towards him that's the bracha part. But the Iker there is Mechadash here is that the word is Nilus, because Nilus itself is a gil of the Matvat and Tachlis. So it's not just that he got a bracha, but his bracha is a direct link to Eretz itself. It's Atzilus Mislabish in the very first, as a first recipient of the Eretz Atzilus, from which this recipient, Be'etzem, was the source of all the Tainug in Atzilus itself, in Ganid itself. So now, yeah, you with me? Okay, one step further. There adds
one question. So why does that prove? So maybe we can still say that Taka in Atzilus, it was very potent, but it was less potent when it came out.
Right.
Why? I'm a little bit of the devil's advocate. Here's the question.
Yeah.
You got it.
But L'chura, that's why the Rebbe is calling it Mitler Rebbe. So that was the Mitler Rebbe's part. The Mitler Rebbe's part is because it's Shem HaEchad, because Pishan is the first one, therefore it's the most uncorrupted recipient of that Nahar. Not just recipient. It's still the limit. That's the reason why the Rebbe is called the Mitler Rebbe. That's the point he makes. Because
it's like they say. I got it. It's like they say the first son has the most from the father. Al derech.
Okay, now there adds another word from Tzemach Tzedek. We can add further to the virtue that comes to Paro through the bracha of Yaakov. Tzemach Tzedek says in Eretz Torah, the Peter Shakosov and explain the pasuk which says, "Vayavu ad Goren ha'atad, Evel Gadol zel Mitzrayim." When Yaakov dies, and the pasuk describes at great length how Yaakov is marched and paraded, his body's paraded outside of Mitzrayim to be buried in Eretz Yisrael. The pasuk describes that they put crowns, right? They put crowns around his coffin. And they came to Goren ha'atad, and they mourned all the way to this place called Goren ha'atad. And the pasuk there says that this was a great Evel Kavod the Mitzrayim, was a very heavy mourning for Mitzrayim. So the most of the Maamre in Eretz Torah discusses why it's Dafka Goren ha'atad and what's the meaning of Goren ha'atad b'ruchnius. But there's one little paragraph where actually also explains why it's Goren ha'atad b'ruchnius. But in the middle he explains why it's a mourning for Mitzrayim and not just mourning for the Yidden. It's the loss of the Yidden, not the loss of Mitzrayim. So by first prefacing Kush says Zayar, the question of the Zayar. It should have, the pasuk should have said this is a mourning to the people of the Yidden. It's their father they lost. My time of Mitzrayim. Why is it mourning for Mitzrayim? But this is what Mitzrayim says. So long as Yaakov was alive and living in Mitzrayim, is Baruch Arab Begine. The land of Mitzrayim was blessed because of him. Valda, and as a result of this, Mitzrayim Avdu Avilus, so that's why Mitzrayim is in mourning. So this means so the reason why they're mourning is not for the death of Yaakov per se, but for the bracha that came as a result of Yaakov. So this is also not Tzemach Tzedek yet. This is all the Rebbe speaking. He never quotes that Zohar. I looked up the Tzemach Tzedek. He asks the same question, not from the Zohar. He asks it from somewhere else. The Rebbe is introducing Tzemach Tzedek with this question, with the Zohar. So what's Tzemach Tzedek being moisif onto the Zohar? The Zohar already says that why is Mitzrayim mourning? Because the bracha of Yaakov is gone now. That's what the Zohar says. So what does it explain Tzemach Tzedek? More depth to what the Zohar said. Even though again I don't remember that Tzemach Tzedek even quoted the Zohar. But now comes a quote directly. Now this is directly a quote from the Tzemach Tzedek, except for the parentheses. The parentheses is the representation to the Tzemach Tzedek. But otherwise, it's come out a direct quote. So the quote's like this: the bracha of Yaakov was, she's Baruch Beis HaMitzvah B'Klal Yisrael. The house of the Egyptians, the Egyptian household, Mitzrayim, should be blessed because of the. That's number one. And that.
Why are you saying Yisrael as the Yidden? You maybe say because of Yaakov.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm sorry. B'Klal Yisrael means because of the. Because of Yaakov. 1 second.
Why does he use that?
No. Yaakov's bracha is that because the Yidden are there, they should get the bracha. This is Negeya, we'll see. Yaakov's bracha is that so long as Yidden are here, the bracha should be there. And when Yaakov dies, as we'll see, they lose that. So even though the Yidden are there, they still don't get the bracha. So we'll see. So the bracha of Yaakov was that Mitzrayim should be successful because of Yidden. And that they shouldn't subjugate the Yidden. It's part of Yaakov's bracha. Because subjugating the Yidden is to their own detriment. So part of the bracha of Yaakov's presence is that they should not be put Yidden into Golus. That they should not be mishtabed Yidden. I mean, they're already in Golus, but they shouldn't be subject to slavery. Now this is the Rebbe's comment. The Zohar says, the Yaakov Kayim, so long as Yaakov is around, Ba'alma in the world, there's no nation that can control his children. So long as Yaakov is living, they were incapable of subjugating the Yidden, and that itself was a bracha to the Mitzrayim. Sha'az, which at that point, because they were not subjugating the Yidden, it was good for Mitzrayim and good for the Yidden. And this good was a good beruchnis also. They were capable of elevating the sparks that were there. As the Tzemach Tzedek says earlier in the Maamre, that the bracha of Yaakov was to draw upon a lakus that's beyond the shvira and the tikkun, which is why it's such a lofty level of revelation that they're able to elevate the Mitzrayim instead of Mitzrayim. Back to the Tzemach Tzedek. And therefore even to them, to the Mitzrayim, there was a virtue. In what way was there a virtue, says the Tzemach Tzedek? Al derech litzvos lazeh. Similar to that which the Gemara says, litzvos lazeh. Litzvos lazeh means to provide connection, to provide society for this one. What's this referring to? It explains it in the parentheses. The Gemara says, the Gemara quotes the pasuk. What's the beginning of the pasuk? I'm missing the whole pasuk. A person should fear the God, for this is all of the man. It's called Adam. So the Gemara explains not just that this is all of man, as in like that's the purpose of this person, but more than that, this is the purpose of all man. The purpose of all man is for this one person to be able to serve the Eibusher properly. And that's the word, litzvos lazeh. In order for this guy to have a society in which he can live like a mensch and serve the Eibusher, that's what the whole society exists. Yeah. So the whole world exists, so there's a society in which the seed can serve the Eibusher in a singular. Which is why there says in the parentheses, the kol echad. It's referring to each individual. Each person says the world is created for me, which means each individual living as a from Yid provides purpose for every other human on the planet. Now, every other human has value because it provides a society in which this one Yid can serve the Eibusher. That's litzvos lazeh. Now, the Rebbe adds not just this Gemara, but the Rambam is mamish barichas in the Pirish Mishnayos. But the ultimate purpose for the world, all of creation is to provide society for one, all creation is to provide for humans. All of humans is to provide society for Eden. And all of Eden is to provide for the one person who taka serves Hashem. For one Isha Chacham. Move on, and therefore it's understood. Besides the fact that now you're providing for this person who's serving the Eibishter, you're providing him a society in which he can serve the Eibishter, there's more than that. In the Chibur Zepol, this is the Rebbe speaking here. Chibur Zepol, I think it's to pronounce it. So now, if I can provide a society in which the Chacham serves the Eibishter, now I have a purpose too. So the Ilui, in being part of the Chacham service of the Eibishter, the one person service of the Eibishter, is not just for the benefit of the person who's serving the Eibishter. But now I fulfill my purpose. Now I have a value. I have a value because I've enabled the Rebbe to serve the Eibishter. And that's what he's saying, basically. It's not back to Tzemach Mashenkin, Achar Stalkus Yaakov, but once Yaakov passes away, Sheshtabru Mitzrim B'Yisrael, and now the Yaakov is not there anymore. The Mitzrim went, they were Kafoi Toiva, and they subjugate Eden. So Garam Lazeh, this causes this inevitably led to the fact that they were later given, they later got 10 makas. Etc. Lachain therefore concludes in the place of Garin Atad, the Mitzrayim were mourning Gamkin as well. End quote Mitzvah Tzedek. So what does Tzemach Tzedek teach us? That the presence of Yaakov and his bracha is not just that Mitzrayim is successful, but the Mitzrayim now is fulfilling its role and purpose in creation. By not subjugating Yidden, by becoming partners with Yidden, and Yidden ultimately being partner with the Yid, Yaakov, with the Chacham Echad. So they were capable and able to be part of the purpose of creation and a connection to the Eibishter fulfillment in life. And instead, they end up subjugating the very source of their life. They subjugate Yidden. They're supposed to provide litzvahs, they're supposed to provide society in which Yidden can serve the Eibishter, and ultimately the one Yid, the Chacham, and instead of providing the society in which these Yidden should serve the Eibishter, they subjugate Yidden. So this is the ultimate kafei toiva of Eretz Matat and Tachlis. They have the Gilui of Elikos. They have Yidden right here, and they're able to provide and to be part of the process of the Gilui of Eretz in this world. And instead they subject it. So they're kafei toiva not just in the lack of physical bracha, but kafei toiva in they have the purpose of life right in front of them. That's the ultimate Gilui of Elikos, and then they deny it and say, no, we're subjugating the Gilui of Elikos here.
They're mourning it though, because they're just like, we don't have a choice. We have to.
Right. That was the Mitzrayim then, but years later, they're kafei toiva. Right? At the time they're mourning it, and years later they're kafei toiva, which is something I was thinking about also. But I can't think about this. Anyway, okay, maybe for bringing. So let's see. Let's finish the paragraph. So therefore, it comes out from the Tzemach Tzedek that the Yaakov's bracha had two effects. Number one, there should be no concealment on Kedusha. Which comes through the fact that the Helam comes from the fact that Mitzrayim, which is meant to provide for Yidden, ends up subjugating the Yidden. Right? So not only should there not be any concealment through subjugation, allow there, moreover, Mitzrayim is successful. The Ruchnius, and the Yidden therefore are capable of being malu and tzitzis, and the Mitzrayim were able to take part in that by providing for Yidden. They were able to take part in the Yidden's purpose by allowing them to flourish. The Ruchnius. That's number one. And the second union, and number two is that Palei Mitzrayim also successful. Mitzrayim was done doing well, the Gashmius. After Yaakov is mistalek, so Yaakov bracha leaves, his chil Mitzrayim mistabek b'Yisrael. The Mitzrayim start to now subjugate the Yidden by Deza, and by subjugating the very source of their bracha, they lose. Not only do they lose their place in creation, their purpose for creation, to provide society in which Yidden can serve the Eibishter. And this may be part of the purpose. Not only did they lose that, they were struck with 10 makas. And therefore there's a great mourning of Mitzrayim. Okay, let's stop over here. There's one small paragraph here, but the point he's trying to say is that this is the ultimate kafir tova. This is the ultimate lamata tachlis. The ultimate lamata tachlis is where the Eibishter provides a human being with the capacity not just to be successful physically, but to have a spiritual fulfilling life. And that very source of bracha, which is the source of his fulfillment of life, he then denies and says, no, not you, it's me. That's the ultimate matat and tachlis. That the gilul of Eretz itself, and not just its gashmistic outcome, but it's a ruchnistic providence. So it's clearly Eretz. That too can be denied. And that too can be subject. And that's the matat and tachlis. And then there will be the parallel in Yidden, the businessman and the one who learns Torah. That's coming in the last place. Wonderful day.
Yashakayach.
We don't even know what to do.